record of this computer. Okay. All right. So, like I said, we're going to start with financial accounting. So, before we start with we go into ERP, we need to understand what is the meaning of these three words. There are three key important terms which you keep using it again and again inside ERP. Okay. One is we call it as GL. Okay. So this stands for general ledger. Okay. So it's basically an account or a ledger or a book or cash book, anything. Okay. So this is an account in which you're going to have the postings. Okay. Then you are going to have debit and the credit. So I'll tell you what is debit and credit. And then we are also going to have other dimensions. So we will talk about that. Okay. So general ledger is basically like a book. Okay. So for example, if you are a cashier in a book in a store, okay. So and we will write accounting like this: debit and credit. Okay. So let's say if you're sitting in a shop, in a grocery shop, okay. So let's say a person A. So this in a grocery shop, this is your cash book. That means this is where your money is coming in or going out, right? Okay. So when somebody gives you money, okay. So let's say for example somebody A, okay. So he came in, he bought something, so he gave you 100 rupees. So you debited by 100 rupees. Okay. Then your vendor came. So this is a customer. So this is a customer A. So he came in. So you got 100 rupees. Then customer B. Okay. He bought something for 20 rupees. Then somebody, one of your vendors came. Okay. So you bought some rice or something from him. So you gave him 75 rupees. Okay. Now, at the end of the day, you got 120 rupees. Your credit was 75 rupees. That means you gave out 75 rupees. So what is your balance? That is your 120 minus 75. This is 45 rupees. So this should be your cash balance if you started with zero. Okay. This kind of accounting is called single ledger accounting. Okay. What do I mean by single ledger is, so here the general ledger is cash book. So cash book is the name of the ledger. These are the debit entries. These are the credit entries. Okay. I said credit debit, but in single accounting, there's nothing called debit and credit. There's just incoming and outgoing. But for the sake of clarity, I'm saying debit and credit. So this is called single method of accounting. What do you mean by single method? That means when customer came, so how many transactions have taken place? Let's see. So this is transaction 1. This is transaction 2. This is transaction 3. So there are 3 transactions that have taken place. Okay. So you put 100, then you put 20, then you put 75, right? But in accounting terms, why this is a problem is you are only looking at your cash book. Okay. What about the things they bought? So you would have sold something, right? So did you give 100 rupees? Or did somebody give you 100 rupees as a loan? Or did somebody give you 100 rupees because they bought something from you? You don't know. Your visibility is limited, right? So this is called single method of accounting. Okay. Then this is a very old time back I'm talking about. Then they came about the double ledger. So double entry concept. So what does double entry concept mean? Double entry concept simply says one thing. That means for every transaction, okay, the amount of debit should be equal to the amount of credit. That's all. Okay. So which means that if this customer bought something from you, okay, that means this customer, so is the same customer. So I'm creating another book here. Okay. So let's call this as a sales book. Okay. And this one is a purchase book for my vendors. Okay. Now I am also creating another book for the argument's sake. Okay. This is called my debtors or meaning people who have given me loan or people who have given me money without buying anything. Okay. So let's say, and this is all debit, credit, debit, credit, debit, credit. Okay. Okay. So now, so this is customer A. What does it now in double entry? It is not important about the person who's creating the transaction. It's more important to understand what is the transaction itself. Okay. So this transaction one is a sale. That means he bought something. Let's say he bought rice, he bought dal, he bought something from you. So that person bought 100 rupees worth of things. Okay. So here you will say, so let's say he bought rice. Okay. So that means you sold rice to him and then you got money, right? So that means I tell you why I'm crediting later, but this is how it goes. So this will be 100 rupees credit. Okay. So now this transaction, there is a debit of 100, there's a credit of 100. That means this is called as a balanced transaction. That means the debit is equal to the credit. Then comes this customer. So this customer did not buy anything from me. He just came, he said, I'm having 20 rupees with me, you please keep it. I will come and buy tomorrow. Okay. So Dave is coming in. I'm just allowing her to join. Okay. So this customer just gave 20 rupees out of the goodwill of his heart. I'm going to buy from you, but you please keep this as an advance. That means now the shop, you are indebted. That means you are in debt to the customer because you took money from him, right? So this transaction again, yes, the customer gave 20 rupees, but that will go in the debtors book. So this will be customer B. Okay, and 20. All right. Then coming to the vendor. So the vendor came, okay, I gave you rice. For that rice, you need to pay me 75 rupees, he says. Okay. So he says, okay, fine. So this is also balanced now. So I'm going to transaction 3. So here, okay, fine. You gave me money. Yes, I bought something from you. True. So what did I buy? I bought rice. I bought for 75 rupees. I'm paying you 75 rupees. Okay. So now this becomes also a balanced transaction. Okay. So now if I look at all these entries, so which means these entries, they will be balanced. That means the debits, total of debits will be equal to total of credits. Okay. Now you might be asking me, sir, we are not finance consultants. I'm not going to be an auditor. I'm not going to be an accountant. Why you're telling me this? Why this is important is because this is the fundamental principle on which entire finance and accounting works in our ERP. Actually, it should be like that in every ERP. But I can confidently say in our ERP, this is the fundamental. That means the debit will always be equal to the credit. Okay. And what does this transaction mean? This transaction is each and every record that is being created in ERP. Okay. So these are basically going to be ERP transactions. I will show you. And for every transaction, there will be multiple ledgers. So each of this is a ledger. So there will be multiple ledgers. They will be debited, they will be credited, but at the end of the day, the document will always be balanced. Okay. So far, any doubts or questions?
Okay.
Okay, good. Now, the next question is, before I go to the setup, because this is how the fundamental principle on which it works. But now we need to understand the setup. Okay. Now, maybe why did you put debit here? Why did you put credit here? How do you know this is debit? How do you know this is credit? This is something which is very, very important to understand. Okay. So now I'll tell you what are the debit and credit rules. So anybody who has, how many of you are MBA students or MBA graduates here? I think Rishikesh is one.
Yes, sir, I heard.
Madhavan is one. Rajkumar?
Rajkumar sir in calls.
Okay, he's in a call. Okay. So do you remember the three basic rules of debit and credit? Okay, no. So there are basically just three rules. Okay, so it is very, very simple. One is related to goods. Okay, that means when should you debit something and when should you credit something. Okay, in terms of goods, it always debit what comes in and credit what goes out. Okay, actually it's for goods, technically it's for cash also. So I'm just putting it as goods and cash. Okay, so that means whenever it comes into your account, you have to debit it. Whenever it goes out, you need to credit it. Okay, this might be a little bit confusing. Don't confuse this with the bank statements because the bank statements work exactly the opposite way. Okay, so I'll tell you why, but we'll come to that later. But just remember this: so goods or cash, you always debit what comes in and you credit what goes out. Okay, the second is for income and expense. Okay, so for income and expense, you always debit your income and you credit your, you debit your expense and you credit your income. Okay, so that means all sales will be credit, all purchases will be debit. Okay, excuse me. So this is the second rule. Now, the third rule is with respect to people. So, what do you mean by people? People meaning people who are your stakeholders, your customers, vendors, employees, etc. Okay. So, generally, we will say debit the receiver and credit the debit the giver and credit the receiver. Okay, this even for me during MBA it's a bit difficult. So the easiest way to remember is always the person who gives is your vendor. So debit your vendors and credit your customers. Okay, that means whenever you are selling to your customer, okay, you need to. Oh, sorry, this is the opposite. Sorry. Okay, so debit the receiver and credit the giver. So basically what it means is that whenever customer, that means you're giving goods to a customer. So in that customer's name, you need to debit. Okay. Vendor is the person who's giving you goods. So you always have to credit him. I mean, you have to give a credit to him. Okay. So this is the three basic principles on which it works. Okay. And for those of you who are new to accounting completely, there are three things. One is called trial balance. One is called income and expense statement or P&L. Okay, this is also called profit and loss statement. The third one is balance sheet. Okay, so the trial balance is very simple. Trial balance is nothing but all the books that you have, this all the debits, all the credits, if you list it together in one big book or in line, if I just put all of this one below the other, that becomes my trial balance. Okay, and my trial balance will always tally. That means my total credit will always be equal to my total debit. Then comes income statement and profit and loss. So in India, okay, we call it profit and loss statement. In outside India, generally people call it income and expense statement. Now, this income and expense statement will have all the sales and the purchases or costs, okay, or expenses as we call it. Okay, so trading companies call it purchase, manufacturing companies will call it expense, but both mean the same thing. Okay, whatever is your sales and whatever is your purchase. Now, very often people confuse this with cash. No, there's nothing to do with money. You might have sold, you might have bought something, but you may not have paid the customer 1 rupee, or you may not have paid the vendor 1 rupee. It doesn't matter. Still, you will have an income and expense. Okay. So income and expense means it deals with physical movement of goods and services. Okay. So if you give out services and goods, it is sale. If you receive services and goods, it is expense or purchase. Okay. Rest everything, which is that is your customer account, your vendor account, your bank, wherever cash is involved, wherever cash is moving from one place to another, or goods are moving within the organization, all that will be inside the balance sheet. Okay. So in income, we call it as income and expense accounts. In balance sheet, we call them as liability and asset account. Okay. So next, now coming to the basic setup. So I will tell you what the basic setup means, and then we will talk about asset, liability, income, and expense. Okay. So, so far, any doubts on what is debit, credit, what is general ledger, what are the 3 rules of accounting of debit and credit, and what are the important key financial statements?
Okay.
No,
Okay.
sir.
All right. Okay. So now let's go into the system. Enough of theory. Let's look at practically inside the system. Okay. So now I'm logging on to our demo system. Why I've given you the background is because you need to understand how accounting works. Otherwise, a lot of screens inside the system, inside the ERP, when I'm explaining, it will be very difficult for you to follow. Okay. All right. So whenever you log into any client, okay, this structure, right, which I told you, these books, these individual ledgers, this statement, okay, so all this definition of all the general ledgers needs to happen in the basic customization. Okay, the basic customization is very simple. When you go to the client, so every client, okay, will maintain one single book of accounts. Okay, so when you go to client, and then when you go to client info, okay, you will see something called as primary accounting schema. So what does accounting schema mean? The accounting schema will define all these things. Okay, everything relating to accounts. So what is that? So let us look at it. So go to the accounting schema, and this is created by default. When you create a client, you cannot delete it, you cannot change it, nothing you can do. Okay. Okay. First is there is accounting principles. Okay. We are in India, so we only follow custom rules. If you are in US or in French, etc., you might use international GAAP and all that. Why we use custom rules? Because our postings are not following, there's nothing called Indian GAAP here, because Indian GAAP is quite generic, so that's why we use custom rules, which is almost equivalent to Indian GAAP only. And we use an accounting called accrual, so I won't go too much into that. This is standard, you have to do it like this only. Okay. Then costing method, this is very important. People often get confused with this term. Costing has nothing to do with what I just told you. Okay, this is finance, this is not costing. What we're talking about is finance and accounting. So there'll be a different training for costing. So let's leave that as it is. Currency, this is most important. Why this is important? Because every client can only have one base currency. Okay, so if you're Connect Analytics, we deal in INR. If you are probably an outside India, you'll deal in that local currency of that country only. Okay, you can have foreign currency transactions, but they will be translated into this currency, and that is maintained over here. Okay, now comes the most important ones. Okay, which is something called as accounting schema dimensions. Okay, this is where the versatility of our ERP comes into place. What it means is, this, what I explained to you, is only accounting. That means it has no intelligence, it has no advanced features, no slice and dice, etc. For example, when I say rice, I put rice here, right? So if I have another product, I will put the same product here. So inside my accounting ledger itself, I'll have product. This is how Tally or any other accounting software work. But ours, it does not work like that. For us, this is the important thing, the ledger. Okay, then how do you identify who is the customer and all that? So this slice and dice or the breakup, that is determined over here. Okay, So account is the general ledger, which we talked about. Then organization is one level of filter. Product, B partner, project, campaign, sales. So there are multiple options here. And if you look at this, there are two columns called balanced and mandatory. That means what? What is a mandatory basic requirement? You need to have one GL account at least, and you need to have an organization. And when you say balance, that means if I take the trial balance at an organization level, the debit will be equal to credit. So if I have multiple organizations, so for example, in Connect Analytics, we treat Coimbatore as one office, we treat Maharashtra as another office, right? So Maharashtra can have its own P&L balance sheet, it will be balanced. Coimbatore can have its own P&L balance sheet, it will be balanced. So that's what it means. Additional information of product B partners is available. So what does this mean is, for every product, you need not create an account. This is where our customers have a lot of confusion understanding. So for every product, for every B partner, you need not create an account. You can, but it is irrelevant. It's just duplication. Okay. So this is the basic setting. So this is the first thing. Okay. So without this, nothing will work. Then the general ledger. So basically it is the account dimension. What is the general ledger you are going to have? Okay. So we will come to this in a bit. What is this mapping and all that? But before that, understand that there is a tab called general ledger here. And then there is something called as defaults. So again, there is a lot of account mappings you see, right? Bank transactions, etc., etc., etc. Okay. Now, since this is a basic training, we are not going to go into detail about what is this, but I will tell you the implication. Okay. So this accounting schema is the basic setup. There is nothing you need to do explicitly other than just come and check whether everything is given properly. It's automatically created during the client creation. You can make changes, but you have to be careful. Okay. Now let's go to master data. So what is the master data? Master data is nothing but your account element. Okay. So which is your general ledger. Okay. So that is called as account element. Okay. So this account element will always be under what we call as the accounting schema. So if you look at the accounting schema, if you look at this account dimension, so there will be a type of account here, and you see the element mapped. So this is what we call as a chart. In traditional terms, it's called chart of accounts. So you can have only one chart of account which is mapped to one accounting schema. Okay. So if you want two chart of accounts, you need to create two accounting schemas and attach it to that. Okay. But your primary posting will always be in one schema only. Okay. You can have multiple schemas and you can post in that. Means you can have multiple books of accounts. Okay. Multiple chart of accounts. But generally we suggest you have only one. But it is possible to have multiple. Okay. So what is this chart of accounts? The chart of accounts is nothing but it just defines these ledger names and it categorizes them as whether they are an income statement or balance sheet. So let's look at it. So this is the chart of accounts. I'll just give a name. Type and all is already here. If I go to element value, so here is where I have completely defined my profit and loss, asset and liability. So this is basically part of my balance sheet. This is part of my profit and loss. This is not required. This is for technical purpose. We have it. These are not required in accounting. Only these three are required. Okay. So how did we create it? It's very simple. You just create new. You give a name. You give a search key. If you want it as a parent, you give it as a summary level. If you don't want, if you want to post. So there are a couple of things you need to remember. Whenever a posting happens, an accounting entry happens, it will happen in the lowermost node. For example, sundry creditors general. Okay, so this creditor will only get, you can post only to this creditor. You cannot post to this node or this node or this node. Okay, it won't allow you. So it can only post to this node. Now, so whenever you create the lowermost node, you also have to specify the account type. It's mandatory. What is account type? The account type will be, like I told you, an asset or an expense or a liability. These two you can leave it, or a revenue. Equity is part of liability only, but let's not get too much into that. Equity is also part of the balance sheet. Okay, so balance sheet contains asset, liability, and equity. So you can say, this memo is not an account posting. It is for dummy. Okay. So this memo means dummy. There's no impact on the profit and loss or balance sheet. So you have to choose the account type and you have to create it. Okay. We have some additional options here. That means, like I told you, you can say that this is a business partner related account or this is a product related account. But generally, these settings are not required. Without that, also it will work. Then in our ERP, we have a functionality which is called as actual budget stat. So there are three postings. Actuals is the actual transaction that's getting posted. Budget is for budget entry control. Statistical is not required because we don't use this. It's only used if it is a memo. Okay. So we use only actual and budget. So these are the main important things. And there's another important option called document control. I'll come to that in a minute. Okay. So how our naming convention is very simple. Okay, now this is a feature, but we follow some practices. What is the practice? All our asset accounts will start with 1. All our equity and liability will start with 2. To be more particular, our liabilities will always start with 2-1, 2-2, and our equity will start with 2-3. Okay? Then our profit and loss statement will start with 4. So all our sales will be 4. And our expenses also will follow the same number. Okay. Now this, why we have done it is, this is just an easy identification. There is no hard and fast rule you need to do it like that. You can give any name you want. But for us, when we look at the number, immediately we know whether it's a balance sheet item or an income statement or a liability or an asset. Okay. It's for our identification. Okay. So this is what we call as a master data setup. So we just have to define all the master data here, and we create it in a hierarchical way so that when the customer is looking at the report, they also can look at it in the hierarchical way. This hierarchy is customizable. We customize it according to the requirement of the client. Each client, we have a generic format, and then we customize it for each and every client depending on their format they give to us. Okay. All right. So any doubts so far? Okay. Are you guys understanding or able to follow?
Yeah, able to follow.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. If you are not able to follow, please stop me, okay? Because there are multiple audiences here, so I'm trying to cover everyone's aspect: support, marketing, delivery team, everybody. Okay. So now, so we saw how we define a ledger. We saw how the accounting schema is done. So basically, we have done all of this. Okay. Now let's look at how for example, I told about this transaction, right? Transaction, customer bought something and he paid for cash, right? Now let's understand how that posting happens. Okay. So why do we call it as indirect posting? I will let you know. Now, in many of the ERPs, these accounting entries have to be done manually. Okay, manually meaning to say, like tally, you have to go debit, credit, etc. You have to remember all these things. But in our ERP, you don't have to remember anything. Everything happens automatically. There is a backend configuration to it, which links the transactions to this chart of accounts. I will tell you how it works. Can anyone tell me what is the window where I will be posting this kind of a transaction, where somebody bought a rice for 100 rupees? So I need to make that entry. So what is the window I will be using? Anybody?
Sales.
Okay, sales, what? There are multiple windows. We don't have a window called sales, right?
Okay.
When, okay, what I need to say is, when does the actual sale happen in our ERP? When we say a sale has happened, which window do we record it?
Sales orders. Right.
Okay, that means if I get a sale order, does it mean I've completed the sale?
No.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me take, okay. So how do you look at the posting is very simple. Once the document is completed, then the accounting entry happens automatically. Okay, so let me find a sale order which is completed. Okay, so I'm going to search from here. It's taking a long time. So document status is equal to completed. Okay. So, okay, this is Sugna pumps. We have an order. So there is a monoblock pump. The value is 10,000 rupees. So when you scroll down next to the document action button, there will be something called as posted. Okay. So when you click on posted, that means it will give you the accounting entry. Is there any accounting entry here? No. Okay. So that means when I get a sale order, I have not completed the sale. It is like the customer has come and asked you for something. Okay. Now Prashant says shipment. Is shipment mean that we have completed a sale?
No.
Okay. Then which window indicates that we have completed a sale? Or we have done a sale? Such a long time for you guys to find this. Okay. When you go to a shop, when a sale is completed, you get a bill or you get an invoice. So when you invoice, that's when a sale is completed in Indian, not in Indian, in any general standard also. Only when an invoice is completed, that means you have sold something to that customer. Isn't it not?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Correct. So invoice is the window which we need to be looking at. So let's look at the invoice window. And let's see whatever I've been telling you till now is applicable or our ERP is not working like that. Let's see. So there is an invoice. The invoice amount is 12,000. Okay, this is interesting because it is not a whole amount. It has tax. So this 12,000 something. Now let's look at the posted value. We come to document action, we click on posted. Okay. So can you see a whole lot of accounts here? These are all ledgers. This is an account debit and a credit. And if you look at the columns, organization, account, product, business partner, project, campaign, sales leader, these are all coming from where? They're coming from the accounting schema dimensions. Okay. Now, let's apply our theory to this accounting thing, whether it's working or not, whether what we did here manually, is it correct or not. So whatever I sold, the product, I credited, right? So let's see what happens here. So what is the product here? The product is plate assembly, gate lock, plate assembly, correct? And all these three products have been credited, which means I am correct. I did not teach you anything wrong. Okay. Then what is the other thing? We said that if, okay, so this is a cash, right? So we said, now instead of cash, that person didn't pay cash because of the invoice. So let's look at the invoice. What does the payment term say here? Oh, it says cash. Okay. Okay, so this is a bit tricky here because it says cash. Okay. But that means there is a payment made, but the payment is not made immediately. Okay, so I'll tell you what is the meaning of that, but let's assume that it's a credit sale. Okay. So what happens? That particular business partner, what is his name? Name 1. Okay, good name. Name 1. That person has been debited for that amount. Correct? That's what we did here also, right? Sorry. So when we bought something, we credited the product, but we debited the customer, correct? So that's what we said, debit the receiver. So this rule is also followed. Okay, you guys are with me so far? Okay.
Yes.
Now,
Yes, sir.
Now there is an implication of GST here. Let's not worry too much about GST for now. Let's park this for the later discussion because this will confuse you more. And if you see the total account debit is equal to account credit. Okay. Now marketing team, support team, everybody has been making entries in all these windows. Have you once gone and did, I want to debit this customer, I want to credit this customer when you made an invoice? You just went, you created an invoice, that's all right. You put the business partner name here, you put the product here, you put the amount here, you did all your other selections, who's the sales guy, where do you want to deliver it, what is the LLR number, so on and so forth. But you completed it, automatically the account document got generated. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. So this, what does it mean? That means there is an accounting document generated for this invoice. So this invoice document is separate. This accounting document is separate. It's a different document altogether, but they are linked together. Okay. So that is called as indirect posting. Okay. What is indirect posting? Indirect posting means that whoever is doing the posting need not be worried about all this accounting terminology. He is only worried about the transaction that he is doing. So I am doing an invoice transaction. Okay. So since I'm doing an invoice transaction, I automatically these accounts are getting posted. Now you might ask a question, why, how does the system know? Is it that intelligent? Is it having artificial intelligence to know that I need to take sales from here, I need to take sundry debtors here, I need to put, how does it know? So that we have a configuration, we have a mapping, which happens automatically, okay? If that mapping doesn't exist, there will be an error, you cannot even complete your document. So it is a foolproof system for accounting to work. So if the accounting document doesn't get posted, then the document will be completed, but this will be not posted. And how do you know that? You have to go to the document to find out, yes, but otherwise also, if you come to your home screen, you see these unprocessed documents. So you will be getting the list over here, which will say these documents are not posted. Okay, now these are in draft, but even if they are completed, not posted, it will give you here. So you always need to advise the customer to look at these four. Very, very, very important. Okay. All right. So this is the meaning of indirect posting. So can someone tell me any other window, any other transaction window where do you think accounting document would get generated in the backend apart from invoice?
Payment window.
Okay, payment window. Good. Okay, so let's look at the payment window. Okay, we're getting some error here. So let's ignore this. So let's directly go to a payment window. Okay, before we go there, now when you look at this posting, okay, I know that you know the name of the account, but can you tell me this is an income expense account or asset or liability account?
Income expense, since it starts with 4.
This is, yeah, I think it starts with 4. This is an income account. Okay, Rishikesh, this account is starting with 2. So what is this account?
Okay. It is a profit and
No.
liability and
It is a liability account. 2 is
liability and
liability.
equity.
No, yeah, okay. 2 is liability.
Yeah, liability, sorry.
Yeah. And 1 is asset. So in one document,
one is,
asset. One is asset. Okay. So in
asset.
one document, you have assets, you have liability, you have income expense. So this is how all of it comes together. Okay. All right. So now let's look at the payment window. Okay. Again, why I am always filtering is if the document is not completed up, that means the posting button itself will not come. Only for completed documents, the financial accounting will happen. Okay. So the document status has to be completed. Or closed. Closed also is fine, but completed or closed. Okay. So, all right. So here you have this. You have made a payment, a vendor payment, outgoing payment. So something similar to this, right? So something similar to this. So there is a vendor payment you made to Yash Metals against. So they gave you an invoice against which you paid, and there is a bank. Okay. Now this is a very complicated transaction because all the 3 business rules will be used here. Okay. So let's look at the account posting. Okay. Okay. Now in payment, unfortunately, okay, why I say unfortunately is because unlike invoice, it is not, all the transactions are not visible together, because when you make a payment, there are multiple stages that happen which you probably don't realize. Okay, let me tell you what happens. Simply, this is quickly. When I make a payment, okay, your bank does not get affected directly. Okay, so technically, what will you do? You will issue a check. Okay, then vendor will deposit the check. Whether it's a check or NEFT, the same thing. Okay, the issue will check. Vendor will deposit the check. Then you will reconcile the check. Right. So technically there are 3 steps involved in a single window. Okay, this a lot of you will not realize this, but this is how actually actual accountants work. Not that when you get a payment, immediately make a payment entry. You make only a check entry. Then the check, somebody will take it, deposit it in the bank. Then you will reconcile the check entry, and only then once it is reconciled, you will allocate to either invoice or credit note. So for what do you make the payment? So that's what is the allocation about. So let's look at this. So when you make a payment, only the check is issued. So when the check is issued, what happens is the bank, there's something called clearing account. Okay, that means it is something like you're giving money from the bank, right? So when money goes out, what happens? You have to credit, right? So like here. So the clearing account, I am crediting and I'm debiting the vendor. So the vendor has to be, sorry, so this is the credit account. So it goes out and then the vendor, right? So instead of debiting the vendor, I am only debiting an interim account called creditors payment selection. Okay, I'll tell you why we're doing like this. So we're debiting a payment selection account, right? Now, then what happens is somebody goes, they deposit the check, etc., right? So then we allocate. So let's come to the allocation posting. So in the allocation posting, you're allocating the payment to so this last step, you're allocating to invoice. So we come over here, we look at this posting. So the same amount which you put inside credit payment selection, you will reverse it and you will debit the sundry creditors general. Okay, that means this account. Okay, so you are debiting what comes in. Okay, so what happens is you are making a payment to the vendor. So that means in this credit, for this credit, you need to give a debit. Okay, so this particular sundry debtor general will get debited over here. All right. Now, where does the clearing, when does this get cleared there? That happens in something called as a bank allocation, which we will see separately. So the third document will happen in bank or cash statement, which we will see in some time. So in a bank or cash statement, let me take I'm taking a random document. I'm not taking the same document, but if you take the same document, you have to just pay some more attention to it, but otherwise you will get it. So if you look at any bank or cash statement, if you see here, the clearing will get credited and the bank will get debited, or vice versa. The clearing will get debited, the bank will get credited, depending on outgoing or incoming payment. Okay, so this is when this happens, the reconciliation of the check happens. So first the check is issued, there is a document, then we saw the allocation document, then we have the reconciliation document. But all of these three will sum up to total debit equal to total credit. Okay, so these are all indirect postings, right? Now, there are ways in which you can make a direct posting also, like how I am making here, debit, credit, etc. Right? There is a way to do that. That window is called GL Journal. Okay. Now this window is very, very powerful, very, very dangerous. That is why we keep this window locked for most of the reasons, unless it is specifically requested by the customer. Okay. Why? Because okay. So there's no completed documents. So let me just take one of these documents and complete. Okay, so if you look at this, there is no debit or credit here. Okay, so there is, so if you look at this is the GL journal document type, date, etc. But you have to give the debit credit here. So there is a bank which is being debited. So if I don't do anything, this is debit is 1000, credit is 0. This is not balanced. So if I try to complete, it will give me an error saying that the document is not balanced. Okay. All right. So now what I do is, let me take some element from here. Okay. So I filter this. So I find. Okay. So I take this account number. So I debit this by 1000. I'm debiting fixed asset, and I add a new line, and I am taking, let's say, okay, so there is a clearing document 999. So I open 999. Okay, and then I save this. I give a credit of 1000. So now if you see here, debit is same, is 1000. And now if I go and complete it, it will simply go. So this is basically like how I did my Excel. Just debit, credit. Okay. If I go to posting, I'll see the same account. So this account I credited, this account I debited. Okay. Okay, why do we use this? When everything is automatic, why do you have to use this? Basically, you have to use this for simple reason that sometimes there's something called as auditor adjustments. People might want to make adjustments outside the books, which you cannot emulate through a transaction. It's very difficult. So for those special cases, we use journals. Okay, but if you see, I did some specific selection here where it got only 5 records. What does the selection mean? The selection means very simple. Now, if you see this document control, right? So any ledger you put as document control means only indirect posting is allowed. You can read the text also. If an account is controlled by document, you cannot post manually to it. That means you cannot create a GL journal for any document controlled item. Okay, so that is why we have a strict control. We don't allow them to post anything everywhere. Okay, so we will say that certain accounts only can be adjusted. Certain accounts, you can, for example, stock, bank, syndicate. This you cannot adjust directly. You have to go via the window only to adjust. So only indirect postings will be allowed if document control is checked. If this is unchecked only, then you can make all postings. Okay, is this clear? Any doubt so far? Okay, Madhavan, Rishikesh, Prashant.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, Ranjit.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Ranjit also seems to have joined. Okay. All right. So Soumya is still not in. Right. Okay. So now, this we talked about indirect postings and how to control indirect postings. So now let's look at how are these two linked. So that means how is this one linked to each and every window. Okay. Now I'm just going to explain the basics because I don't want to go into too much of detail for everyone. For support team, if they require, I will later conduct a more detailed training with respect to how each and everything is done. Okay. So there are configurations which map that, okay, sales, it should book here, customer debit credit should book here, etc., etc. Okay. Now these are called combinations or configurations. Okay. They exist at 3 places. No, actually 4 places. Sorry. Okay. First place is where we went and saw the first one, which is accounting schema. Okay. So by nature of transaction, you need to know where to go and configure this. Okay. So what do you mean by nature of transaction? That means for invoice posting, for sales posting, purchase posting, it will happen at different places. For other postings, it will happen at different places. So you need to go and map that. Okay. So the first setting is in the accounting schema, general ledger. Okay. This has the basic accounts, which is called as suspense balancing and currency balancing. Okay. So the suspense balancing account and currency balancing account basically means that if you have multiple currencies, if there is a forex difference, the difference should be posted to which account. And suspense balancing basically means that whenever there is a unknown transaction, miscellaneous, you don't know where to park it, then automatically it will book it under suspense. Okay. For example, you are moving goods from one organization to another organization or inter organization, some things like that. Okay. So when you move from one company to another, okay, then there is that one, which company should be debited, which company should be credited. That is mapped over here, intercompany due to intercompany due from. Okay. Now all these configurations, they are at different places because of the nature of the transaction, but the configuration method is very simple. How do you configure? So for example, this intercompany due account is a payable account. I put it under inter-unit payable. So basically, first I need to have my general ledger created. So in my account element, if I go, so for this is where your accounting knowledge will come into picture. You need to know accounts to do this configuration. Okay. Technically, I'm telling you where it is, but why you're mapping that account, why you're not mapping this account, why is it at that level? All these things are more accounting related in nature. Okay. So for example, intercompany, when goods move from one company to another, I created an account called inter-unit payable. Similarly, I would have created something called as inter-unit receivable here. Okay. So one is an asset account, one is a liability account. So both these accounts I have created already, and then I need to come and create it over here, map it over here. So how do I map it? How I can map it is I click on this button here. So the same thing that you saw in the accounting schema, you'll see all those dimensions here. So you can make a combination. Okay. Now this combination generally is always not org specific, but you want to make it org specific. That means in company A, it should go to this account. Company B, it should go to this account. Then you can make multiple mappings here. Okay. So here I just select the account. So for example, let's say if I click this button, it will get reset. Okay. If I want to map it, I can search here. So I can say inter tab. It will give me all my inter accounts. So this is my inter payable account. I'm selecting it. And then I choose organization as star. And then I click save. Okay. Then this combination will get generated over here. Then you come, this will be selected over here automatically. You click OK, it will come over here. Okay. Like this, you have to do mapping for each and everything. So let's quickly go through where all this configuration exists. So this is intercompany due, intercompany from. So this is price. Whenever there is an inventory change, that cost should go where. Okay. So the suspense balancing. This is the first place. The second place is the defaults. So this defaults, I'll tell you how it works. This one is, so these are the places where all the configuration exists. That means it exists at individual object. That means business partner, you have mapping. Product, you have mapping. Warehouse, you have mapping. Bank, you have mapping. Manufacturing, you have mapping. Tax, you have mapping. Charge, you have mapping. Project, you have mapping. You can ignore the screen, no problem. But what it means is, suppose you create a business partner and you do not assign any account to him, then what should be the default? So this is a basic fallback mapping. So in the fallback mapping, what generally we give is, where is the unrealized gain, unrealized loss, etc. This is for currency, forex gain or loss. Then business partner. So when it comes to business partner, we are talking about these guys, customer, vendor. So what are the accounts for customer and vendor? One would be his receivable account if it's a customer, liability account if it's a vendor, prepayment or vendor prepayment. So prepayment is nothing but this fellow. If you remember this guy, customer B, we said that he gave 20 rupees just like that as a prepayment. So do you want to keep this in the original book itself or you want to keep it separately? That is the flexibility you have here. Okay. Why do we say Connect ERP is very, very powerful in accounting is because of this multiple options we have in configuration. You can slice and dice your income statement and balance sheet to a very, 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 very detailed level. Or if your customer doesn't want such a big balance sheet, you can also aggregate it. That means you can do the same account. I have only one account called sundry debtors. I have mapped it to both my prepaid account as well as my receivables account. Okay. Same thing for liability. For liability also same account, prepayment also same. I can have different or I can have same. My write-off accounts. Okay. Similarly for my product. So this all will be sales and purchase. So what should be my product asset? What should be my product expense? What should be my inventory account? What should be my inventory clearing account? If there is a price variance, etc., etc. Okay. So all of these have the mapping over here. And based on this mapping only, the indirect posting gets posted. Okay. So let's go to business partner. Okay, so now we saw the client level accounting schema, the general ledger, the defaults. Now let's go and look at the second place, which I told you, which is charge or product. It's the same thing. Okay, so whenever you create a charge, okay, if you see here, there will be an accounting tab. So any window where you have a tab called accounting, that means that's for mapping. So for charge, there is a mapping which comes here automatically. Okay. Now let's see what happens when I create a new charge. Okay. I don't bother to do accounting. I just save. See what happens. It comes automatically. Right. So where did this come from? This came from here. In account. Sorry. It came from here. So in account element, in charge account, I have mapped this as my default. So if I don't do anything, it will come over here and this will be used in the future. But if I want to change it, I can go inside and I can change it similar to how I have done it. Okay. So this is just to prevent accidental errors. All right. So this is charge window. Then we have organization. Okay. So let's go to the organization window. Now, surprisingly, actually, if you see in the organization window, there is no option to specify any accounting, which means although organization wise your account, you will have P&L balance sheet, it's balanced at organization level, but organization level there is no mapping, which means centralized books of accounts only is possible. So this is why when some of you ask us, right, in the client is having a requirement, I have 4 companies, can I use one client? You can use one client, but then you have to follow one book of accounts. You can take the same book of accounts, you can take it by organization wise, which is equal to company, but you can have only one book of accounts. So if this is, I want 4 different books of accounts, then you need to have 4 different clients. That means 4 different licenses. Okay, so that's what it means. So that's what we say, books of account is client specific. Now, if I go to business partner, okay, so any business partner, generally there are 2 tabs, customer accounting and vendor accounting. So in the default tab you saw together, here it will be split, that's all. The only receivables and payables will be here. Sorry, receivables and prepayment. And if I go to vendor accounting, it will be vendor liability and prepayment. Okay. Only for business partner, there is another good feature, I would say, available where the same mapping you can do at business partner group level. Okay. So business partner group level, you can have the same accounting mapping. So whenever you create a new employee, it will come from here. Okay. There is a button called copy accounts. This is very, very important. What it means is that suppose you created an employee group, you did all your mapping, then you created hundreds of employees. Okay. Now you realize that, oh, I mapped an account wrongly. Okay. So I have to go to 100 employees and change it. No need. You just come to the business partner group, you change it over here, and then you say copy accounts. This will copy this configuration to all the employees which are belonging to this particular business partner group. Okay, so all the 38 business partners will get updated. All right, the same feature exists in product also. because these are all huge master data. There is a chance of having an error. So in product master data, again, you will have an accounting tab, which will have mapping for all the product related items. And if I go to product category, there also I will have an accounting tab, which will have again the same feature of copy accounts. Okay, so for business partner and product category, if you make a mistake, no problem, you can always go and overwrite it from the category. Okay, then let's look at warehouse. So in warehouses also, there would be inventory related accounting mapping here. So this is done over here. So there is one account called warehouse differences. Okay. Sometimes it's just one account only. It depends on which I like charge, warehouse, etc. It will be like that only. Okay. Okay. Then second is your tax. Now tax is a bit complicated because in tax category you don't have any configuration, but in the tax rate, okay, there would be a accounting document, which is my due, which is my, so basically for GST. I think prior to GST this is not a problem, but in GST they're asking you to maintain the due, payable and receivable separately, and then reconcile it. So you can maintain the payable separate, receivable separate, and the tax expense also separately. Okay, but what is the problem here is, unlike product category and business partner category, for tax category there is no accounting option. Okay, so that means only for tax, because it's a one-time configuration, you have to be careful. You have to do it one by one. Okay, because we have noticed that for each GST rate, sometimes people won't have different accounts. We suggest you have only one account because we take it in the report, but they will insist that they want a separate. So you can have to be very careful while doing this. So this is for tax. Okay. So now, after explaining all of this, I'm going to revisit back to the invoice that we just visited. Let's see how this mapping works. Okay. Unfortunately, that invoice is not here. So this is invoice customer. So invoice customer, again, I go to find. Document status completed. Okay. Here. Okay. So let's analyze one by one. Okay. So first, where did the sundry debtors come from? It came from here, from the business partner. So in the business partner, under a customer accounting tab, if you look at it, in receivables, I have said 1121000, right? So if you see here, this is 112100. Okay. Now you might say, how do I know that it's correct? Okay, so let's change it and see. So I'm going to reset it here. Okay, so it was sundry debtors, right? I'm going to make it as sundry creditors. Okay, just to see how it works, right? So when I change this here and when I save it, automatically nothing will happen. Okay, what I need to do is I need to go to the document which is already posted. I need to click something called as repost here, and I need to force it. So I force it and I say repost. Has this changed? So the account changes. The account is changed, but the value remains the same. Okay, so is it clear? This is how the mapping affects this particular amount. So now, just to show how copy accounts works, again, I'm going to go here. I'm going to go to the business partner group, and I'm going to go to accounting and say copy accounts. Okay, so let's see whether it got updated. So I come to posting again. I force, I repost. Click OK. Now it's come back to 112100. Okay, so this is how the mapping works. So now, like this, same way, let's look at this. So this is my sales account, right? So where did this come from? This would have come from product. So how do I know that? Very simple. Just go here, go to the product. Go to accounting. So here, if you see, for us, it's the product revenue sale, right? So it's the product revenue. So this is 411000. So this will be also 411000. Okay. Now for tax, same way, I look at the tax here. This is interest rate 5%. So I go to tax. I look at that accounting. So this is tax due, right? So this should be 21311 BST payable because you're selling. So the same account will be over here. Okay, is this clear? So this is how accounts is created. Indirect posting happens. It is linked with with the actual posting. How do you make a direct posting and how the system works based on transactions? Okay, so I've shown this. I have shown this. Oh, bank posting I've not shown you. All right. So far, any doubts? No. Okay.
I have a doubt, KB.
Yeah.
The account, so after completing the document also we can change the account, right?
Mm-hmm.
But can we change the charge or product?
You can, okay. I think what you're asking me is whether you can change the product name or charge name.
Yeah.
No, you cannot change it. You have to reverse the document and post it. What I'm only doing is I am only going to the account mapping and changing the account mapping. That's why I'm able to repost it. The repost will not allow you to change the product.
Okay.
See, because I can only change accounting side. I cannot change this document anything once it's completed.
Okay.
For example, customer I cannot change. I cannot change it. But which account this customer should get posted to, that I can change. Accounting related I can change, not the transaction itself.
Okay. Then while creating the charge, how do we select the accounting, that number 411 series?
Yeah, I told you, right? So you go to charge. You first have to save the charge. So once you save it, the accounting document will come here. Then you come over here and you change the mapping from here.
Okay.
So here you choose whatever account you want.
So for the vendor and if you are making some payment towards the vendor, so according to that we'll be selecting the charge accounting number as 411 series, right?
No, okay, I think.
Because it comes under expense.
No. Okay, let's understand one thing. You're confusing two things. One is in indirect posting, I'm only explaining what this document is, how this document is getting translated to accounts.
Okay.
Okay. Now, this is what the question you're asking is a very common confusion for any accountant who's coming from Tally background. Our ERP is not an accounting software. Okay. So when you say charge is like product. For example, you ask me, right, gate lock. I cannot go and change this gate lock to do whatever it wants. If I want to change gate lock to something else, I need to reverse this document and I need to create a new document with whatever is the name. Okay. Similarly for charge is also like product only. Only thing is it does not have quantity. Okay. So whatever name you give here, okay, it is immaterial. You can give anything you want. You can have a convention. Okay, you want it to be like this, you want it to be like that. That is okay. But a charge by itself does not mean there is an expense charge or an income charge. No, nothing like that. Okay, that is your understanding because you can create a charge called advance, and depending on which account you are mapping it to, it will get posted in the accounting side.
Okay.
Okay, that does not mean that you can call advance as an expense item. No, this advance will only be visible in charge field.
Okay. Mm.
Okay, in accounting it will not be visible. Did I answer it out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else has any doubt? Okay. Now from here, we are going to go in two directions. One is how to look at reports. So this is from marketing perspective. Okay. So this is all fine. How it works, I've explained to you. So if customer asks any questions in the demo, you can show it, or you can actually show how accounting is posted also. So they will also understand how accounts is integrated. But now, how do you look at reports? What are the reports that you can see? Basically, accounts reports are, that means only looking at accounting side. You will not look at the transaction side. Okay. So if you go to the accounting reporting menu itself, for example, here, if you go to connect reports, in finance and accounting, we have certain reports which are technically not account reports, but most key important report is statement of accounts. Okay. So what is the statement of accounts? So statement of accounts is nothing but customer statement, because like I told you that in our ERP, every customer does not have a unique account. The ledger is common, but customer is different, right? So, for example, let's say if I want to have a statement from 01.01.2019 to 31, okay, or let's say 01.01.2020 to till today, so this is 25. Okay. So this will show me all the customers. Okay. What was the beginning balance total? As of 1/1/2020, what is the opening balance? What is the debit? What is the credit? And what is the closing balance? Okay. So this is something like our this book. So now if I want to take out a book only for one customer, okay, let's say customer A, I want only one customer. Okay. Then what I do is I go back here, I can choose the customer name here. Okay. So let's say okay, so the customer here. All right. So okay, so let's say we take name one, the one that we're looking at. Okay. So I take that name one customer. So for that customer, this is my ledger. So what is the balance? So balance is a debit. Okay. Another thing I forgot to tell you is in accounting, credit always comes with the minus. Debit is always plus. Okay. So when you say balance, if you look at this, credit of 147,500 means the balance is minus 147,500. Okay. So there is a debit balance 4301,919,005. That means so much of amount is still owing with the customer has to pay us 4 lakh, 43 lakhs, etc. etc. Okay. So this is a statement of accounts for business partner wise. Okay. Similarly, there is a statement of accounts. You can take a statement of accounts for any ledger. Okay. So like for example, I am going to take a bank ledger. So let's say I take bank. So I take a bank ledger or a bank clearing ledger and I give the same dates. 2020. Okay. So for that bank, the opening balance was 7 lakhs, etc. So we received a payment. We took out 1,000 rupees. We made a payment. We again received so much. So this is the closing balance in the bank. Okay. So basically, if you look at this, this is the same like my Excel sheet representation. So every ledger, the book of accounts can be taken using this report called statement of accounts. Okay. Now this is a report. Sometimes I might want to know which is that I see a number. For example, let's take this example itself. I see payment and I see a number. Okay. Now one way is I can copy this number here. Say close. other windows. I go to payment. Okay, and I can just go and filter to the document number, and I will get that. So you see this amount, 147,500 against this invoice. So the same 14700 is showing over here. Okay. Now this is copy paste you have to do, right? Some people will say, oh, I cannot do this. This is too difficult for me. So if you want to look at the actual ledger, actual entries, there are two reports. One is called fact, accounting fact balances, accounting fact details, and accounting fact daily. Okay. So details means it will give you entry by entry. Balances means it will give you the balances. Okay. So let's look at the balances itself. So I'm using the same date option. And here accounting schema is only one, so I'm selecting it. Now here I want this account. So this account is this. Okay, in some windows it will be like drop down, some windows will be search, but that's okay. Okay, right. So there are three postings, correct? Because there are 1, 2, 3 postings. So now the same 147,500 I can see over here. Okay, so if I want to see any of the details, I can see over here, but I won't know from which record it is coming. I only know the details of what is the product, etc., and if there is anything else, which organization, etc., right? But now if I want to zoom, I want to know from which transaction it came. The same thing I can do in details, accounting fact details. In accounting fact details, is the same selection I'm going to give. And account, I'm going to do the same account. So again, there are only 3 postings, but now the difference is that it will tell me which is the table name, what is the document number, everything it will tell me. Also, there will be a button here called record ID. So just click on this, it will zoom. Okay. So generally, if the user wants to check where this number is coming from, etc., from a high, the accounting is always like that. You look at a high level report, something like statement of accounts, you find some anomaly, you come to details because you know the date, you come to the details, you go to the date, you go to that account, and then you filter it like this, and then you can zoom to the, so from we saw transaction to accounting window, from accounting also you can go back to transaction window, that is using this button. Okay, so this is the basic 3 reports. I know there are a lot of other reports, but I'm not going to go into detail of all that. You can check by yourself. There is a separate report for tax and all that. Now, the most important is these 3. How do I look at the trial balance, income expense, and balance sheet? So for that, there is a trial balance report. So trial balance is again 2. One is called summary, and one is just a simple trial balance. The difference being, trial balance summary will sum up all the records and give you one line for one account. Summary will give you like account fact details, row by row, date by date, it will give you. Okay, so we take trial balance summary. I want the summary for, let's say, as of August. Okay, there's no period for August. There's a space. Okay, so for August 18, oh sorry. August 20, I'm looking at this trial balance. So this is my trial balance. So it will give me all the accounts here, all my sales, then my liability, then my assets. What is the credit, debit? Okay, there is 2 terms: source credit, source debit, account debit. What this means is, this is in the currency of the company, accounting credit and debit. The source credit and debit will be in the currency of the transaction. So if it's a dollar transaction, this will be in dollars, this will be in rupees. But this will always be in rupees. So these are the columns that we need to consider. So if you look at this, you can look at, so this is my total trial balance, it's balancing, it will always balance, and this is my output. Okay, so this is, there is a debit, there is a credit, and this is the total value. So this is how the total is. So this is basically a trial balance that you need. You can easily take and give it to your auditors for consumption. Okay. Now the second thing is, when it comes to these two reports, okay, there are a lot of flexibility in creating these reports. So we have a separate window called financial report. Okay. So in financial report, we need to do some configuration as to what is the line and column, that is row and column. So, and there'll be a preset configuration like this. So we created one for balance sheet, one for income statement. Sometimes people will ask a balance sheet income statement like comparison, current period versus previous period versus full year, etc. So based on that, we can create new configurations with this window. But how to look at the report? You can say click create report and look at it in a normal HTML format, or you can go to a tree structure, which is even more better looking. So for example, I take textile, I take my balance sheet. Again, I take it for the period of August 20. And then I say refresh. So this will give me my balance sheet in the account element format. So this is my asset. Okay. This one. Now, unlike your trial balance, this report sometimes will not tally. For example, if you look at this, the equity and liability should be equal to my asset. It is not equal. This is not an error in the system. This is an error in how this report has been configured. If this report is configured correctly, then this will always match each other. Okay. Since there is an error in how this is configured, it is not matching, but it should definitely match. Okay. So this is in balance sheet. Same way you can look at it for income statement. Textile, income statement, same period. Okay. So income statement. So this is the total profit. So this is the sale, and this is the cost of sales. So basically very less transactions, so very less amount. So this is 83 to 500. Actually, this 83 to 500 should be coming here under current year earnings. You see, 83 to 500. So this is coming from income statement data here, but still it's not matching. So we need to see why it's not matching. But this is how the report works. Okay. So like this, you can take for any period, and then you can expand and see it. Suppose if I want to download this report, the same report can be executed from this window. I say create report, and I say August 20. I don't give any selections. Okay. Organization I select, textile. Okay. So the same data that you, okay, so there is some error here. I'm going to choose the organization textile. This say it is HTML, format it is income statement. If I didn't choose the print statement, so the same data that we're seeing in tree here, you'll be able to see it over here as well. Okay, so this is the data you're seeing here. Same data you will be able to see it here as well. Okay, but of course this is not looking that attractive because there are this should be under this should be under this, like that, and this one is showing it properly, but this one is showing it as a flat structure. So that's why we generally prefer to use the tree mode. So like this, you can look at the income statement, balance sheet, trial balance. The flexibility is your income statement and balance sheet can be, you can have multiple configurations. So this window, there is no limitation. So you can have any number of combinations. That's why generally what we advise our customers is that you design how you want your income statement. We will design it for you and give you. So there's a configuration to it. We'll do the configuration, give it to them, and then they can use it for their use based on that, right? So this is how you look at the trial balance, income statement, and balance sheet. Any questions? Okay, so I'm just going to stop the recording here.